All right, let's talk about that feeling. You know the one. Like you're on a financial hamster wheel, right? You're working harder and harder, but you're not actually getting anywhere. Well, today we're cracking open the ideas from Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean, this book has been a total game changer for millions of people when it comes to money. We're going to dig into this really simple but super powerful mindset shift that might just be the key to your own financial freedom. So it really all comes down to this one big question. What is the single biggest difference between the rich and, well, everyone else? And here's a hint. It's not having a fancy degree. It's not about landing that super high-paying job. And it's definitely not just about getting lucky. No, the answer is way simpler than that. And it's all about a massive shift in how you see things. Let's unpack it. Okay, so the whole foundation for this idea comes from Kiyosaki's really unique childhood. Get this. He had two dads. I mean, two major father figures in his life. There was his actual dad, a super educated guy, who he calls his poor dad. And then there was his best friend's dad, a guy who dropped out in the 8th grade but became a self-made millionaire. And that's his rich dad. And man, their views on money were just polar opposites. You've got poor dad, the academic, who was always saying things like, the love of money is the root of all evil. He kind of saw it as this corrupting thing. But then you have rich dad who comes back with, no, the lack of money is the root of all evil. He argued that it's the struggle, the not having enough, that causes all the real problems. And that one single difference in what they believed, it changed everything. So that core belief led to completely different game plans for life. Poor dad's advice, it's probably going to sound super familiar. Go to school, get good grades, find a safe, secure job. The traditional path, right? Rich dad's advice was totally different. He was like, forget that. You need to learn how money actually works so you can make it work for you instead of spending your entire life working for it. So how do you even begin to make money work for you? The secret isn't what you think. It's not about chasing a bigger paycheck. It's all about redefining two incredibly simple words. Words that, honestly, most of us think we already get. And this, right here, is the absolute heart of the Rich Dad philosophy. Okay, first up, an asset. Forget all those complicated definitions you learned in school. Rich Dad's version is just brilliant in its simplicity. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. That's it. It's all about the cash flow. If it's generating income and money is flowing to you, it's an asset. End of story. And then, of course, you've got the flip side, a liability. And again, it's so simple and powerful. A liability is anything that takes money from your pocket. It costs you money just to have it. See? It's just about the direction the money is going. That's the only thing that matters. And this leads us right to the huge central mistake that so many people make. Rich Dad put it perfectly. The rich buy assets. The poor and middle class acquire liabilities that they think are assets. Oof. They're spending all their money on things that are just draining their bank accounts, all while thinking they're building wealth. It's a massive trap. Which brings us to probably the most famous and, let's be honest, most controversial question from the whole book. So, is your house an asset? I mean, really think about it. Using Rich Dad's definitions, if your personal home takes money out of your pocket every single month for the mortgage, for taxes, for upkeep, what is it really? Definitely something to chew on. Okay, so how do these super simple definitions actually play out in real life? Well, it becomes incredibly clear once we start to follow the money. Let's just visualize the cash flow patterns for different groups of people. All right, this is what Kiyosaki famously calls the rat race. Here's how it works. You get your paycheck from your job, awesome. But then that money immediately flows right back out to pay for all your liabilities, the mortgage, the car payment, the credit cards, and what's left at the end of the month. Usually not much. Maybe nothing. So you're totally dependent on that next paycheck to do it all over again. It's a constant cycle of just trying to stay afloat. But the wealthy, they're playing a completely different game. Their focus is all on building up that asset column first. So those assets, we're talking stocks, rental properties, businesses, they start generating income on their own. And that income, it pays for their luxuries, and it gets used to buy even more assets. You see the loop? It's this powerful, self-sustaining cycle where their wealth just keeps growing. So, the big question is, how do you get out of the rat race and start building that cycle of wealth for yourself? It's not about begging your boss for a raise. It's a fundamental shift in your focus. You have to switch from thinking about earning to thinking about owning. Yeah, the ultimate goal here is to flip the script. You want to make your money your employee, make it work for you 24/7, generating income instead of the other way around. The whole point is to build a system where your assets are earning you more than you're spending. And that is the literal definition of financial freedom. And this quote just nails the entire mindset shift. The poor and the middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. It's so clear, right? One path is trading your precious time for dollars. The other is building a machine that produces dollars all by itself, whether you're there or not. Okay, so how do we actually start applying all this to our own lives? It really just comes down to shifting your focus. Let's break down the key takeaways, the things you can start thinking about today. All right, here's what to focus on. First, you've got to increase your financial literacy. You have to learn the language of money. Second, get into the habit of constantly asking, does this thing put money in my pocket or take it out? Third, make your number one financial goal to buy things that generate income. Build that asset column. Fourth, keep your expenses and liabilities as low as you can because that frees up more cash to buy those assets. And finally, mind your own business. And what he means by that is focus on your asset column, not just your job. Your job pays the bills, for sure, but it's your business, your assets that will actually make you wealthy. So I'll leave you with one final, really powerful question to carry around with you. From this moment on, the next time you're about to spend your money on something significant, just stop, pause for a second, and ask yourself this. Am I buying an asset or am I buying a liability? Seriously, how you answer that simple question from now on, it could change absolutely everything.